Bluffton, Myrtle Beach, 6 of them here, and I do have one up in Columbia, but all we do is real estate. If we're in courts because we get sued. We're not litigators. We're not real lawyers. We're not trying to convince 12 people innocent or guilty. That's not us. I'm just kidding, guys. That's a bad joke. But this contract that I use, I probably should have brought y'all a copy, but it's okay. The biggest thing, guys, in real estate is I'll be honest with you, is doing your due diligence up front. Realtors get into these troubles all the time. I do lien searches for free for you. And what I do there is that's in Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester, Orangeburg, Colleton, and Georgetown County. If you've got a property up there, you can just give me a tax map number and address. Within 24 hours, I can get you a current on a lien search to let you know whether it's a train wreck or whether you should move forward. It's not a full search, but it's going to tell you right off the bat if it's a train wreck. It's going to let you know if that guy or gal's got 2 or 3 mortgages, owes the IRS a bunch of money. I don't want you to make an offer on something that can't close, and I don't want you to list something as a realtor or as an individual that can't close. I don't want you to waste your time. And it's something that we've offered for years, and it's worked out really well. I have my own abstractors that abstract me. I don't use independent abstractors. I mean, I can close stuff in 24 hours or, whatever, because I do a lot of pawn shop. We do all kind of crazy stuff. So I need to be able to do those abstracts. But that's the most important thing, guys, right off the bat, is do that lien search. It goes straight to me, mweeks at weekslawfirm.net. I don't know who sends me these things. Realtors, investors. People send them to me all the time. I just send them back to you. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's mweeks, the letter M, W-E-E-K-S, at weekslawfirm, all one word, .net. And it's just helpful. I check everything out before I put a contract or even take a listing, anything like that. So use that, guys. It's direct. I mean, it doesn't cost you a dime. I don't know who you are. I don't know who you, I mean, people send me these things all over the place. I probably get 500 or 600 of them a month. And I just send them back out, and a lot of times it's a train wreck. Even when you're looking at the master in equity, a lot of people that'll buy at the master in equity, it's important, guys, if you're buying at that master in equity, that you know that the first mortgage is foreclosing. You don't want to buy on an HOA. If the HOA is foreclosing on somebody and you buy that, you just bought it subject to anything that's senior to it, first mortgage, second mortgage. So I always check those for you too. If you're looking to go to the master, Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester to bid on some property, just send me a list of what's out there. I'm going to let you know whether the first mortgage is foreclosing and whether the IRS is in there. Always look for the IRS. The IRS has a 120-day right of redemption, so they can come back and overturn your sale. They're not going to overturn it. I've never seen it in 30 years, but it's still out there and it's a lien you got to deal with. Yes, sir.
Mark, would you mind just to repeat the counties where you move and develop?
Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester, of course, Colleton, and I quit doing Orangeburg, guys. Right now with the COVID, Orangeburg's shut down. You don't need to be doing any business in Orangeburg right now. They're not inspecting mobile homes. They're shut down. It's a train wreck up there. It's going to take you 45 to 60 days to get a search, and it's just a nightmare. But Charleston, Berkeley, Dorchester, Colleton, Georgetown, and I still do Bluffton, which is down Beaufort County. So, again, it doesn't cost anything, guys. Just send them to my email and you're good to go on that. And there's a couple things I mentioned. Yes, sir?
Do you do anything in the Columbia area?
I do. Lexington and Richland, I do a lot of work up there. I can do a lien search up there for you if you need them. I don't really like to, but I will. I can do those. It's not a problem. But the biggest thing, guys, in these contracts when I run these through people is get the lien search, do a net sheet. I mean, if you're working with somebody, it's important to do that net sheet, to sit down with them and ask them about the first, second, third mortgage. Ask them what's out there. I tell realtors all the time, so when you're sitting down with somebody and you're taking a listing of something, do that net sheet. They may not be able to sell their house, maybe a short sale. They may have 2 or 3 mortgages. If they're paying the IRS, guys, there's a lien on the property. Oh, I'm making a payment to the IRS. Well, that means there's an IRS tax on the property. A lot of people don't understand that. HELOCs, people don't understand their second mortgages. They don't. So, I mean, you just got to ask people up front, are you in bankruptcy? That's not something we're going to pick up in their title search. So, if you're a realtor and you want to list property for people, ask them these tough questions. Sit down and do a net sheet. It may be upside down. You can start taking that 6% real estate commission, 4% in closing costs, their own closing costs. They got a mortgage, they got a lien, next thing you know, they're upside down. Don't take that listing. Again, do the lien searches, do the net sheets, and you find out what you got there. Also, guys, I do a ton of tax deed properties. Okay, if you guys don't know what those are properties that are sold at a tax sale. Property taxes. That is not good property. That is not good title. Okay, I want you to know that. That is not, I mean, I have people buy them all the time, and I'm fine with you buying them. I clean them up all the time. But don't buy one of those properties thinking that's good title. It's not. Okay, you're not going to be able to get a loan on it. You're not going to be able to get title insurance. Just be careful with them. I deal with them a lot. I have clients of mine that love them because you can get some really good deals, but you also, you know, if you think you're getting a, you know, you can also get yourself in trouble on them. You need to do FOIA searches, Freedom of Information on those. I do those for you if you need them. We do charge $25 because it's a pain in the ass to get them. But it's important to know that the county properly notified all parties that lost the property at the tax sale. And if they didn't, it's extremely difficult to quiet the title. So just do your due diligence on them. There's nothing wrong with tax deed properties. Usually you can pick up some good acreage and some good land. And we do the quiet title action. We can clean them up. It's 4, 5, 6 months. But again, they're good, but just be careful with them. Don't think you can buy them and sell them because you got to be careful on the sell side. They're giving you a quick claim deed. It's not good title and it's a problem. But just be careful with them. I do a lot of them. I just want you to be careful dealing with those. Mobile homes, guys, I do a ton of mobile homes. Don't run from mobile homes. If you got a mobile home and you're looking at, people love an acre or two of land in a mobile home. Sell them like that. We do over 1,000 mobile homes a year in closings. What you want from the mobile home, just ask them, where's the title? If they don't know where the title is, don't take the listing, don't make the offer. Because if they don't know where that title is, you're not doing anything. You give me a VIN number, if you got a VIN number, give me 15 seconds. I have DMV software. I can tell you who owns it and whether it's retired. Retire means that they've taken the title and they've done away with it, so it's taxed and deeded like as a fixture. So again, don't run from mobile homes. I do a ton of them, but just ask that question up front, where's the title? If they don't know where it is, before you make an offer, before you take the listing and waste your time, make sure you know you want to get that. Okay, and then we can run those down. It's not a problem at all. I'm just trying to run through some things that I see that we run into that cause problems, just to hit you one, because I think a lot of you guys are investors and people like that. Let me take these crazy glasses of mine off. I can't see you anyway, so it doesn't matter. I will say this, guys, and also remember, guys, when you're, and again, I'm talking to you guys almost like you're realtors or investors. LLCs, corporations, if you see people that are selling property in an LLC or corporation, it's important. If it's a majority of those assets, I do need a tax compliance letter with the South Carolina Department of Revenue. So just remember that, if you're, and I don't know how many of you guys are realtors, maybe investors, but just be, again, not anything to be worried about, but just remember that is something that we will need at closing. And what I mean is a majority, if it's the only property you have in that corporation or LLC, then it's the majority of your assets. And the only problem is those things can hold you up, they can cause problems. I've got a pretty good contact at the South Carolina Department of Revenue. I can overnight them and get them back usually in a couple of days. But again, if you're taking a listing or you're dealing with someone like that, make sure they know to get that. That can slow your closing down for up to a month if you run into someone that just haven't done their taxes. Mobile homes. Also, guys, I do a lot of work out in just kind of out in the suburbs, way out, where we have a lot of people that have homes that are on non-county maintained roads. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. A lot of people live out, have houses built on shell roads, dirt roads. Remember, banks now they basically want private road maintenance agreements in place. I'd say 90–95% of the banks are not going to loan money to you if you live out in the boondocks and there's not a private road maintenance agreement on who's maintaining that road. There's always some yahoo in the neighborhood who's maintaining it, and I know that because my mom lives out there and there's one guy that scrapes it. But, all I'm saying that is be careful buying out in the country. Sometimes you'll pay cash and get this great deal. Next thing you know, there's not a private road maintenance agreement. That's a lot of banks want that. They want everybody on the road to sign off on it, and I'm telling you, it's tough to get everybody to sign off on something that they're not obligated to. So nothing wrong with that. I do a lot of work out there, and we can prepare those and help you with those. It's not a problem, but I've run into that a lot lately, and it's just a pain in the ass. Excuse my language there. Got any kids in here? Oh, sorry about that. Solar panels, guys. I do a lot of solar panel classes. I don't have a problem with solar panels. But if you're buying or you're listing, you make sure you do your due diligence in there. I've probably got about 25 or 30 deals on my desk right now. It's a nightmare getting the proper paperwork. There is a warranty for the equipment, the installation, and for the power. And it's important that you find these things, guys. Let me tell you something. You're dealing with an engineer or a pilot, They're going to want to know that they want to see those power bills over the last year and how it's been performing. I'm just telling you, there's nothing wrong with solar panels. My uncle loves them. Me, I'll just take my daggone power bill. You know, I don't want some daggone calculator on my roof that God knows 10 years from now if the company's going to be in business anyway. But a lot of people love them. Just remember, do your due diligence on them. There are very few people that know how to inspect them and to basically know how to actually work on them. And look at the paperwork, guys. It's pretty interesting. If you're going to have solar panels, you need to be buying them. I don't know why people lease them. You can't write them off with leasing. You don't get the tax credit unless you're buying them. And I'll be honest with you, man, some of these bills I see people paying when they're selling them. But just remember, it's very important to do your due diligence. Make sure you have those warranties. Those warranties are important. If you don't have them, it can be a real problem down the road. This contract, guys, that we use now, do you guys buy a lot of property? You use this contract much? I don't know. This is just a residential real estate contract, CTAR contract. Is this what you guys typically use or not? You draft your own?
We draft our own.
Do you draft your own? No, that's fine. I've got one I use too. The CTAR contract is a pretty good contract, though. It's a pretty comprehensive contract. I teach it to realtors all the time. It's really some of the things that I'll pick out of here that are a problem, though, guys, is when you're looking for a seller on there, the seller's name, pull the last deed. Don't pull that CSR crap that y'all have out there. That's just not the most up-to-date information. The last deed is. The last deed's going to tell you who owns that property. You know, and so it's important, guys, when you're drafting a contract that you have the right seller on there. And I have people that say, listen, man, if somebody died, stop the train, find out who the PR is if one's been appointed, and find out who has the authority to sign for that estate. If you don't have that's a problem right there. Okay, and again, make sure you got your proper seller. If it's a corporation, make sure you see the corporate paperwork, and that person has the authority to do it. Same with an LLC. You know, partnership, same thing there. Make sure that you've got the right people on there to sell that property. Because I'm telling you, if everyone hadn't signed on, your home run you thought you got, it's not a home run. So just make sure you pull that last deed. Remember the last deed. If you can't pull it, you call me, we'll pull it for you. Okay, I've got abstracts and pull it in a few minutes. So you should be able to go online and do that, but if you have a problem, just give us a shout and we can get that to you. Yes, sir.
If we're buying a property that's owned by a trust, do we have to get paperwork of the trust to make sure that...
Definitely. There should be a trust agreement, and there should be, it's a trustee of the trust.
Right.
So one of those trustees, you get the trust of, there should be in the trust documents, powers, you want to see the trustee that he or she, they have the authority to sell.
Correct.
They probably do. It shouldn't be a problem, but definitely get the paperwork.
Got to get the paperwork.
That's crucial. Yes, sir. So again, just make sure you get your proper parties on here, guys. And one thing I do like about this contract, and I don't like a lot of things about it, but I do like that here. You got to be careful with some of these contracts when you're buying in these neighborhoods that have homeowner associations, guys. When you buy into some of these things, you're bound by some serious stuff. Some of these homeowner associations. I tell realtors all the time, if you look at this contract, the way it reads, once you sign it, you're bound. And you got to be careful too. Once you sign one of these contracts, you're bound by the covenants and restrictions of that neighborhood. If you haven't checked it out, I mean, there's some neighborhoods you don't have your Harley Davidsons in, you don't have your solar panels in, you don't have boats in your yard, you don't have commercial cars in the driveway with signs on them. There are a lot of it, you don't have solar panels on your roofs. So, I mean, before you sign one, check these things out. Do your due diligence. I'm telling you, half the realtors don't do their due diligence. They just hope and pray to God that those CC&Rs are great. Well, Park West, if you got a Harley, you better leave it at the freaking gate, because they ain't going nowhere else. Same with Seabrook Island, same with a bunch of these places. You can't take motorcycles in there. I mean, that's a big thing for some people. Boats in the driveway, commercial vehicles, solar panels. You know, the way at Crowfield, really strict. I battle those guys a lot. But I mean, you know, some people like that though. I mean, they're pretty strict people. Some people like that. They don't want Jeff Gordon's mechanic, you know, living next door to him with 3 cars out there changing the oil. That was a pretty good joke, guys. A little laughter. That was good. So I'm just saying, just be careful. You do your due diligence before you sign these contracts, guys. I mean, you know, there's, you know, again, solar panels, parking places, all kind of stuff in here that people don't think about. Okay, so you know, just that's important there. Earnest money, guys, on these contracts. More people battle over earnest money. It's the biggest waste, you know, of battles. I don't even know why people battle. My deal is give them the freaking money back and move on and sell your property. I mean, I battle realtors all the time. Well, it's the principal. No, the principals will get you 3 house payments behind and a bunch of trouble. Give them their money back and move on. If someone doesn't want to buy your house, move on. I mean, if you really want to battle somebody over earnest money, great. I want to sell houses and I want to buy houses. I don't want to battle people over their earnest money. I think it's the biggest waste of time. We've got some lawyers out there and some realtors that have a good old time with that, and I don't. Be realistic in closing dates too, guys. Don't do 30 days, right? Now do 45 to 60 days. Bankers are behind, appraisers are behind, lawyers are behind, abstractors, the title are behind, everyone's behind. Rush closings now, and I do a ton of them. I'm telling you, they're tough right now because people just can't get the title work back to you as quick as I used to. I have my own abstracts, there's 14 of them, they're dying. So just, you know, be cognizant of that. You don't sign 30 or 20-day contracts. I tell you what's going to happen, you can get yourself in trouble, you can get your client in trouble. Because you're going to find a great property like 30 days and you're going to run into some, I love picking on engineers and pilots because my uncle's an engineer, so I love to pick on, but you're going to run into a pilot or an engineer's got a backup offer. And when you can't get it done in your 20 or 30 days, guess what? Your client's going to want to sue you, but the seller's going to take the backup and tell you adios. Okay, so just be careful. Give yourself 60 days. If you don't need it, right, it's on or before 60 days. Does that mean if you can get it done in 30, get it done in 30. But right in this environment, this market, that's not a good thing. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. You can tell me to jump. And then another thing about and guys, it's so important for these type of contracts or for you to, when you're buying into some of these neighborhoods like Ion or Daniel Island or you know, Cane Bay, where you've got multiple homeowner associations, you've got transfer fees, capital contribution fees, you got more fees than Carter's got pills. And it's important, that's just why I like this contract, because this contract basically check the box. Seller's going to pay, buyer's going to pay. Some of these fees, guys, are $10,000, $15,000 in these bigger neighborhoods. Well, you laugh about it, it's 1/2 of 1% of a $2 million home. Someone's paying ass of money there. You know, these transfer fees and these capital contribution fees and, you know, these beautification fees, the bottom line is they got more fees, and all of a sudden, I've had people at the closing say, well, hey, why am I paying those? I paid them when I buy. Well, I want to say you got a poor realtor, but I always say, well, you're contractually obligated because somebody's asleep at the wheel. But that's important in these things, guys, because there are a lot of, most neighborhoods now are planned unit developments, PUDs, so they've got all these fees and homeowners, so, you know, they got a lot of fees and a lot of costs. So it's important that you, if you're not going to use this contract, which is fine, even if you do use this contract, it's important that you be cognizant and aware of those fees in these neighborhoods. I mean, it's crazy fees. And if you're not aware of what you're signing, guys, your client signs up for, because I'm going to light you up myself. If I draft these contracts with my clients, and I've got you on the other side, and you got a lazy realtor, and he's docu-signing that stuff, I'm going to light you up in this section. You're going to pay everything for my client. You're going to pay 4 or 5% of the closing. You're going to pay $5,000, $10,000 in closing costs. You're going to pay all of my seller's fee, all the transfer fees, all that. And you're going to docu-sign it, and you're not even going to look at it. Did we get the price? Yeah, but you're paying $25,000 in transfer fees and my closing fee. What I'm saying is, if you're a realtor, be cognizant of that. Do your due diligence, protect your client. But it's important for you to be aware of these things too in some of these neighborhoods. There are some serious fees in there, guys. Just trying to run through some things. I do agree. This contract's pretty good because it's got some different. You can have, you know, some due diligence. Hey, I want to go into I always put in my contracts, even if I'm not using this one, I always give my client 20 or 30 days to walk away from the deal. Very important for it to be subject to financing. If my client can't get financing, my client's out. Now, you can't go sabotage your daggone credit by buying a boat, motor, trailer because you don't like the house and you want to get out. But the bottom line is, subject to financing lasts all the way to closing. If you lose your job the day of closing, boom, you get out and you get your earnest money back. You know, give yourself 20 or 30 days to check the house out. I always give my clients 30 days. I want to get them, if they can't get financing now, if they don't like the house is out, if it doesn't appraise, they're out. 3 hours. You wake up one day and say, you know what, I don't like the color of the sky, I'm still in due diligence, get out. Okay? I mean, it's a get out of jail free card. Some people don't like it, but the bottom line is, if I'm representing my buyer, I want them to get out. I want them to tell you to fly a kite, give me my earnest money back and get out. And I always put in that contract that earnest money comes within 24 hours of our notice of termination under the due diligence. You got to protect your clients, guys. You got to protect yourself. If you're looking for property, always give yourself an out. If they don't like it, screw them. Go find another property. You always want to give yourself an out because you never know what you're going to find. Okay, I don't like where they say, oh, I got repair procedures so I can go in if I fix certain things. No, I always do due diligence. I always want my client to be able to walk away. I don't want you to have to hope that people fix the property right. That's my biggest problem with with the repair procedure in here. Is you're relying on other people's contracts. Oh, he said he did it right. I don't want to go to court. I don't want to fight people in small claims court over crap like that. You don't either. I want to buy a house and I want to move on. And that, you got to be careful in some of these. Due diligence is great because my client can walk away. Repair procedure is a nightmare. Don't ever let anybody talk you into a repair procedure, because the bottom line is, on that one, it kind of gives the seller, all the seller's got to do is, yeah, I'm gonna repair all this stuff. Well, first of all, you want them to use licensed contractors. I'm telling you guys, if any work's getting done on any of your house, you want licensed contractors. You want those guys right out there out of Columbia. They need to be licensed and insured. And you should be able to look up, and it's up in, I can't remember, I haven't taught a class up there on that a lot, but you want licensed and insured contractors, guys, and you want to see their license, you want to see their insurance. It's important, because if there's a problem with the work they did, you want to be able to go after. You want to be able to go after them. I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but it's important that they be licensed, because bottom line, at the end of the day, if they screw something up, you got to be able to knock on their door. If you don't use licensed contractors, then you're going to get this right here, the big zero. You can sue them, it's not worth the and again, guys, inspections, so important that you have a good inspector, so important you have a licensed inspector. Be careful on these home inspectors, though. And I'm not picking, I hope there's not any home inspectors in there. But you got to be careful. There's a Supreme Court decision in South Carolina, 3-2, that allows home inspectors to limit the liability of their inspection to the cost of the inspection. Yeah, 3-2. You got to love that. So make sure if you're using a home inspector that he, she, or they are not limiting their liability. They can. But you don't want to hire one that is. That's a problem. You know, I'd love to limit my liability to your attorney fee. That'd be great. I haven't allowed that yet for us, but I'm just telling you, be careful if you're recommending them or if you're using them. You make sure you see the paperwork and see if they're limiting the scope of their liability. That's important there, guys. I do like this new contract. I do like one thing in the new contract. They do have an as-is. You can buy a house in as-is condition. I think that's good. Every now and then you guys are a handyman, you know what you're doing. Hey, listen, man, your house is a wreck. You want 100, but I'm going to give you 60 and I'll buy it as is and I'll take it that way. That's a good thing. I mean, if you're a handy kind of guy or handyman or handy gal and you know what you're talking about and you know what you're looking at, that's a pretty good gig. That's not a bad thing. Go to some people and say, listen, man, your house is a train wreck. I don't want you to fix it. I don't want you to do anything. I want to buy it as is and this is what I'll offer you. A lot of times people like that. Some people inherit pieces of crap and then you'll take it off their back. So if you know what you're doing, and you do some due diligence on those, again, check yourself out. It's pretty good. I like that. That's new in here, the contract. I like that part there. It's pretty good. Let me see some other crazy things in here I run into. I will say this, guys, taxes, and I run into this a lot on property taxes. You know, I buy and sell a lot of property. And one of the biggest things that I do now is I buy property and the taxes are at 6% when I buy them, pretty much. You know, because I buy investment property, run down investment properties and fix up and sell them. It is crucial in this contract that you basically go ahead and try and push that at closing, that they go ahead and prorate the taxes using the lower tax rate. Okay, that's important because I don't want to chase these people. In this contract, it allows me to chase the buyers enough. The buyer needs to make me whole. I'm giving them this huge tax credit at closing because last year's taxes, usually the tax bill of record, because the tax bill's not out if I'm selling it. This is huge, guys. I mean, I'll turn 30 or 40 houses a year with a friend of mine. We're talking about $20,000 or $30,000 worth of tax dollars that you lose if you don't chase this. And I don't want to chase it, so I put them in all my contracts. Buyer and seller agree to prorate the taxes using the owner-occupied rate at closing. Otherwise, this contract allows you, as the seller, to go after the buyer at the end of the year when the new tax bill comes out and he's applied for the lower tax rate and you gave him this huge credit. I always use, what's the neighborhood up there? The big old neighborhood. It's a real nice neighborhood in North Charleston, the golf course and all. What's it? Coosaw. I always use Coosaw because it's North Charleston property taxes. You can get an investment property in here, your tax will be $18,000 a year at 6%. I run into it. I closed July 1st. I give this guy a $9,000 credit for taxes. You know, because that's the tax bill of record. I had an investment property. Well, at the end of the year, he applied for the lower tax rate. His taxes were $4,500. So the bottom line is he owed me, about $4,500. And I had to chase him to get it. But bottom line is that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And if you start doing these things in volume, it becomes a lot of money. And I've told realtors, just always, if you know that the buyer is going to apply for a lower tax rate, go ahead and put it in the contract. Buyer and seller agree to prorate taxes. It's just a money-saving machine. It really is. Also, guys, I'm just trying to hit some things in here that I run into. Property out in the country. I do a lot of rural properties, and I do a lot of closings on. It is crucial if you're out in the country, guys. A couple things that are important. There needs to be a plat of record showing you what you get. If you're buying 20 acres, you need a plat, or 10 acres, or 5 acres. You need a plat that basically shows you the true metes and bounds of your property. You need to see what you're getting on a recorded plat. You also need to make sure you're on a county-maintained road, and I mentioned that earlier. If you're not on a county-maintained road, it's good to know that you're on a county-maintained road. There's a plat of record that shows your metes and bounds. It's zoned for what you want. Very important there, guys. I mean, if you want to put a mobile home out there, you better make sure that it's zoned for that. I mean, I've had some people buy stuff. Well, I didn't know I couldn't put a mobile home out there. Well, if you'd have checked zoning, you would have. And then also, guys, does it perk? You know, well and septic out there. If it doesn't perk and you can't get a septic, you can get a septic system now even when it doesn't perk, but it's expensive. So it's important that if you're out there buying land or, you know, out in the country, do your due diligence there. You want a plat, make sure you get a plat of record, you got access to your land. Even if it's not a county-maintained road, you still want to make sure you got access. Some people are landlocked, selling you a piece of crap. You know, and then also, like I said, on the make sure it's zoned for what you want, make sure it perks. Very important out there in the country. I run into a lot of that craziness out there. So, and I have no problem with it. I just want to make sure. I'm just trying to see if I can find some other crazy stuff in here that I see, guys, that I can throw at you.
Mark, you got my money back for me on the landlocked deal.
Did I?
Yeah.
Good for you. You always try and look after your clients. Guys, and like I said, I already told you that it's good there. This is one thing, guys. A lot of times, if you're signing for somebody, don't ever sign a property condition report for anyone. A lot of you guys may not know what I'm talking about, and you may not ever run into it, but if you're representing someone, I don't care if you're a power of attorney for someone, or I don't care even if you're the PR of the estate. What I'm saying is, a lot of times there's a form in there that you fill out that I still ask a seller to fill out for the property condition, the condition of it. Always be careful. You don't ever want to fill something out like that for anyone. I don't care if it's your family member, your best friend. Those are things that can get you in a lot of trouble. If you don't know, you don't want to be filling those out. You let them fill them out. They don't know, let them deal with it. I've got a friend that got in a lot of trouble. And I mean, some serious, it's almost like fraud, and it's $50,000, and it's just a bad guy. And she was a good girl, good realtor, and she just, signed for him. And he told her, oh yeah, this is all good, it's all good. She signed for him, it was all lies. And now I never had a conversation with her, and she's being prosecuted, and it's pretty ugly stuff. So I'm just telling you, don't sign for anybody as on a property condition report. You're given an affidavit that, hey, this is a condition. If you don't know, you don't need to be filling something out like that, guys. And don't you ever witness something you didn't see signed. You want to get yourself in trouble as a notary? You notarize something you didn't see signed. That's a felony, guys. And that doesn't go away. There's no statute of limitations. So if someone saw you do that, you're done for life with that person. I tell my lawyers all the time, you don't witness something you didn't see, and you don't notarize something you didn't see somebody sign. I don't care how good of friends they are. There's no closing or anything worth your license or going to jail over, guys. And that's the kind of silly stuff that people do. Oh, I got to have that commission, I'm just going to sign it. They got you for life. I'm just telling you, they got you for life. Fraud doesn't go away. So I'm not trying to scare you there. Just make good decisions, okay? And pretty simple there. I will say this, guys. Condos, you got to be careful in condos, okay? I mean, there's nothing wrong with condos, but you got to do your due diligence. A lot of those condos out there, I converted 12,000 units back in 2005, 6, and 7, and some people I did a lot of work with the prison, but thank God I didn't do anything silly. But these condos, guys, a lot of them are conversions from apartment buildings, so they've got special assessments to them. They have leaks in the roofs, siding, windows. The bottom line is, if you're buying a condo, make sure you get the minutes from the homeowner association. That is crucial, guys. These homeowner associations don't just wake up one day and say, we got a special assessment of $5 million because we found something. No, they talk about that stuff for years. sometimes a year or two, it's in those minutes. And if you're going to buy something like that, or a friend of yours is going to buy something like that, or a client, you make sure that you get something in writing from the homeowner association that there are no special assessments coming down. We're not even talking about special assessments. Guys, remember, sooner or later, your condo is going to need a new roof, siding, and a new parking lot. Maybe 20 years from now, but it's going to need it. And there's no homeowner association in the world that's going to collect money from you as an owner there. I'm going to put some money aside for something that may not benefit me 20 years from now. So sooner or later, everybody in there, if you read your covenants and restrictions, and you get that deed when you buy the condo, you are subject to them. And they can, what they'll do is they'll assess you. Sooner or later, they're going to need those things, and they have the right for a special assessment to you as an owner. And what happens is, my mom's over at Walkful Creek Place on James Island. There's $65,000 per unit special assessment, per unit. Well, nothing had been done over there for 20, 25 years. And it is what it is. There's $5–6 million worth of damage. The problem is, if you can't pay it, they will finance it. The bank will. Well, that means there's a special assessment there, so if you ever go to sell, boom, it's due and payable. So all I'm saying is be careful on condos, do your due diligence. You know, just like you would on any house, you just got to check with the homeowner association. And if there are special assessments, it's the seller's fee, not yours. But do your due diligence on those things. I condoed every damn one of them. I did like 25 apartment buildings, and that's a long time ago. That's some crazy stuff. And I'm telling you, you're buying a condo, just be careful on them. Just check them out like you would, but check the homeowner association. Let them look at those minutes if you can get a copy of them. Other than that, guys, I don't. Do you guys have any questions for me? Anything like that? No? Yes, sir.
I've got a tax deed question. So I'm always finding property, and a lot of it is tax deed.
Yeah.
However, like this last instance, the realtor's like, "Oh no, you can buy it. We've sold other tax deed properties. You can get title insurance at the closing." I'm like, that doesn't even sound right. Can you touch on?
You can get title insurance after 10 years.
After 10 years.
After 10 years, I can typically get a title insurance company to give you title insurance.
Okay.
Tax deed property, guys, is not marketable title. Now, if you can find the person that lost it at the tax sale and have that person sign a quick claim deed over to you, great. That's chances of that are slim. They're slim. But sometimes you can run those people down. But then you got to check them for liens and judgments and make sure they didn't have any problems. No, that person's, that's just not true.
Okay, but say, so she owned it for 20 years.
Yeah, you can get it.
Then I can get it.
Yeah,
okay, so
it'd
that's
be okay to get it. 10 years, you can get title insurance on it.
okay.
But other than that, guys, those things are a train wreck, and just be careful. Now, if you're buying it just for the land, you know, my brother's got a 50-acre tract of tax deed property. He's had it for 6 years, and no one's bothering him. You know, probably won't ever bother him. And they'd have a hard time bothering him. The only way they really could come back to him and say, hey, we never got notice at the tax sale. We want to overturn your tax sale. Very seldom does that happen. That's why you do a FOIA search, that Freedom of Information Act, that we go out and check and make sure that everyone that had an interest was properly notified.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know, again, usually it's land. Every now and then you'll find a house in there, but it's usually land. And again, nothing wrong with them. Just do your due diligence. I mean, it's again, it's important what you're buying them for. If you're buying them to build a house on, no way. Not going to happen unless you're going to pay to quiet it. It's called a quiet title action. We do those. It takes 4, 5, 6, 7 months. Costs $3,000 to $5,000. But it could be a home run. Again, if it's a great piece of land, again, just do your due diligence. A great piece of land, you get it at tax sale, it's good. Yeah, but just be wary of people. And again, guys, be careful selling tax deed properties. You make sure in that contract you're selling a tax deed property. A bunch of my friends buy and sell them. You make sure when you're going to sell it that you put in that contract, we are not giving you marketable title. We are giving you a quick claim deed, which means we're not warranting anything. We know we got crap, and that's what we're selling is crap. Okay, so I mean, it's important because if you don't put that in there and you put it in a regular contract, you just bought yourself a quiet title action. If you told me you had good title and I find out it's a tax deed, I'm suing you. I'm going to make you quiet my title. So just be careful selling stuff like that. And again, and be careful, guys, putting your kids on your deed. Don't put your kids on your deed. Good God. I don't know who the idiot was that told people to put their children on a deed. People do it every now and then. I find some moron. You put your kid on the deed, you're in trouble, man. If he's under 18, you ain't doing anything. The court's going to appoint a guardian ad litem to protect your kid's interest. And don't ever put your kids on deeds, even if they're 25 or 30. Because sooner or later your kid's going to anger you. I'm glad your kid's here. I'm not cussing like I usually do. So, but yeah, this is usually one of my. Don't ever put your children on your deed. Because sooner or later they're going to anger you and you can't throw them off. You put them in your will. Because you can always change your will and get those suckers out of your will. You put them on a deed, you're stuck with those people. I'm so glad you're here. So you just be careful even on your deeds, guys. Probates too, guys. When you run into people that have died, call me. I can always run that through real quick for you. Give you a heads up on it. I can open the probate, see it's important. Don't run from those. Every now and then you get a good deal. A lot of times people inheriting property want to get rid of it. Yeah, that's good. Jump on, hey, listen, we'd like to buy something, it's not bad. But again, check to make sure who's selling that property. Make sure they have the authority to sell that property. The biggest thing, guys, is again, do your due diligence up front on property you're buying. We can do the lien search, check it out, get an inspector in there, make yourself feel good about it. And there's some good deals out there, man. There really are. I mean, it's crazy out there right now. I don't mind telling you. I've been doing this for 30 years, and it's crazier out there now than it's ever been. I mean, we're doing 1,600 closes a month. It's absolutely ludicrous right now. And people are just out of their minds, and we just had to slow it down. I just said, I'm going to have a heart attack working in that daggone place, and it's a little crazy. But, again, hopefully we'll get through all this craziness and we'll get back to some normalcy. I know that guy back there, he buys crazy property. Do you have a question?
Can you talk a little bit about land contracts?
Oh, land contracts?
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of it. Well, are you talking about installment contracts?
Yeah, normal land contracts.
Yeah, those are pretty cool ways of mentioning, guys. A lot of times you'll have someone that's got a mortgage on their property and they want to sell it. I mean, I do installment contracts for deed. You don't have to. A lot of people don't have the. You'll have a lot of times you can buy a good deal. You might buy a deal, find a deal where the guy's got money on it. And a lot of my clients that might not have great credit, but they want to buy something, we'll do an installment contract where we set it up where my client's going to buy the property, he's going to make the payment up towards the mortgage. The property stays in the seller's name. We get an installment contract put together that protects our buyer, and we record it so they can apply for the lower tax rate. It's a good way for people that may be struggling or don't quite have that credit. I mean, I do a lot of installment contracts. Those are pretty cool deals where you can get something sold even though a guy or gal doesn't have great credit, but you want to buy something. As long as the seller's on board with it, they don't have to have a mortgage. I can even do an installment contract on property that they don't owe any money on. But guys, if you've got a piece of property that someone doesn't owe any money on, do a note mortgage for your seller. Don't do an installment contract. Installment contracts are good. I do them, but you got to be careful on them too. You got to make sure you got good parties there, people that can make the payments. There's nothing wrong with owner financing. Owner financing is a great way for you to make a buck and get a good return on your money. I mean, right now, guys, owner financing, my guys get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% on their money. And listen, it protects the people that are buying them. It's still a great deal for them. They're not going to get that kind of financing anywhere. And my clients aren't going to get a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% return anywhere. So a lot of times if you got clients that want to sell some property and you can get owner financing, it's great. It's great for both parties. It's not going to hurt the buyer. It's not going to affect their debt ratio or anything like that. Again, I'm big with owner financing. I think that's a good deal. The installment contracts, I like those. That guy does a lot of crazy stuff back there though. He's not your normal investor. He brings some stuff that'll scare you, but he does good work. He's a good guy. He's been around the block. A bunch of you guys are. A bunch of you guys, and it's not your first rodeo. I mean, guys, I like real estate. I can see it, touch it, feel it. My brothers up on Wall Street does all that crazy stuff. I don't understand that stuff. I don't like people tell me one day, hey, you don't have anything anymore because. No. Real estate, I don't care how bad the market gets, you can still touch it, feel it, see it. It's still there. We got a little sideways with the pandemic and some rents and stuff like that. Some of my clients that had some nice apartment buildings took a little bit of a hit, when the government told people they kind of could take a break on paying rent. But and it was probably a good thing in some ways, but it hurt some people pretty bad in other ways. But again, some of the PPP money helped them out, so got some people back on their feet. But yeah, I like it. That's the only thing I know is real estate as far as investment. I'm just old school. That's all I own. Yes, sir.
I was just going to ask, when we bought a property, it had an inherited tenant in it. And,
It had a what payment?
inherited, tenant was already in place.
Oh, okay, yeah,
And,
You bought a house with a tenant in it?
Yeah, and
Oh, okay.
it was, the tenants did great, I mean, they did top notch. But we did worry at the beginning that, you know, we might have some problems with allegiance and making sure that they held the contract, because the contract they signed was with the previous people, and we didn't know, you know, how can we go over there and make sure that whenever the property is sold to us, that the lease is re-signed, or how we go about legally making sure that.
That's a good question, but I'm telling you guys, you buy something that a lease is in place, you go get a copy of that lease. And you make sure you read that lease, or you get an attorney to read that lease up and down and all around, because that's what you're buying into. You don't get to throw people out. That lease survives the sale. And those people they have tenants' rights. You be careful of that, man. The courts will protect those people to the day it is long. If it's around November, December, you ain't getting anybody out of there. They won't stay through Christmas. They ain't a judge in town will throw anybody out. And he's going to give him or her or them the benefit of the doubt on those things. So it's very important. I've had people buy commercial property. Guy, you buy a commercial property, a tenant in there, you want to see that lease. You don't want to find out some guy's got a 10-year lease in there paying $500 a month. I've seen it before. You got to go look at those things. It's very important that you take a look at it. Are there any security deposits? Anything been paid? Well, I want to see that lease. I want to see it signed. So that's important. That's